Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be giving you a Make a New Track guide, and I'm going to be giving you a quick summary of how Make a New Track scenario works. And I'm also going to solve a very important question, which is why race bonus matters in Make a New Track scenario. So if you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing as it will help with the channel growth, and consider joining the Discord, link it in the comment section. Anyways, let's talk about Make a New Track. First things off, your career objective is going to be completely different. Instead of you doing obligated races every couple of turns, now you have to get a specific amount of star points to progress throughout your career. How do you get these star points? Simply, you just race. So that means is that every single Uma is now able to do every single race in the entire game, provided they have the correct attribute for it. So that is something very nice, because affinity is something that is going to be important in Make a New Track. Regardless, I will talk about more of that later on, but just know that you just race and this will eventually fill up. It's not that difficult. Another thing is that once you race, you would end up getting like coins depending on your position. Every single race is 100 of these coins, and this does not change if you have high race bonus. It's a fixed 100 coins. This is spent on the shop, and the shop is going to be talked about later on. So yeah, you just race and you will get stats, and you also get skill points, and you also get coins to spend on the shop. Next thing is, once you do a couple of races, occasionally there is going to be a rival match. And the rival match is that once you beat that Uma, or if you beat that Uma, you would get a skill based on that attribute of that race, or a skill that correlates with your strategy. So let's say I beat this Fuji Kiseki, and let's say Armara Kinen as a late soldier on Gold City. I would get either a long skill or a late soldier skill. Think of it similarly to Spirit Explosion, where you would get fixed amount of skills based on your actions. So yeah, getting skills in Make a New Track is not going to be that difficult. So every couple of races that you end up doing in Make a New Track would refresh the shop or open new shop exchanges. So I'm going to be going through the shop very quickly. This is not going to be a very detailed guide about the shop. So the gist of it is that randomly you will get a random selection of items that will be put on the shop, and you can buy these items with the coins that you get once you race. So over here, these are some items. There is going to be a couple of items that will increase the base stats of your Uma. For example, this is a speed item that will increase my initial speed by a certain amount depending on the item that I use. This one increases my base speed by 15. These two over here is motivational items, which recover either energy or recovers my mood. Next is going to be special items. These either recover your status effects or give you good conditions. This over here gives you fast learner, and this over here just removes all the negative effects that you have on your Uma. Next is a trainee vouch ticket for a specific training, where you would increase the level of a training facility for the duration of the career. There is going to be two different ways that you increase your training facility levels instead of one. One is from these tickets, where you could exchange for them and they will increase the level of your training facility level, or you click on the training 4 times, much like the URA finale scenario, and that would also increase the training facility level. This item over here reshuffles your current UMA turns. So if your UMAs are not on a training that you want, or the training is bad, you could use this item and it will reshuffle. It's not guaranteed that you will get a good training, but it just helps if you have a bad turn. Next up is item related to training. This item over here is a megaphone which increases the amount of stats that you get for the duration that this is up. This item is a training barrel. You will get more stats based on the icon that is shown over here, but you would end up consuming more energy. And this green ticket over here reduces the training failure rate to 0%. So you could combo all of these over here and it will be very effective, especially in summer. I will also talk about that in later. So these two items over here are related to races. This increases your race bonus for one race, which is something very, very important. And this increases the amount of fans that you will get after the race. So yeah, that's basically the quick TLDR of the shop. So how do we train in Make a New Track scenario? It is very simple. You train in the first portion of the career where you can't race, and try to get a good lineup. Then you wouldn't really train that often up until the second and the third year summer. These are your critical moments to train. And when I talked about the items over here, you could stack all these items over here to get very high amounts of training events for the turn. As an example of the over here, this is a 2 speed training event where I would get well over 70 plus speed, which is something very, very nice. Then we also have a guts training, which is something that I want to talk about, because guts training is something that would actually matter, and it is actually a valid strategy, because if you have a couple of guts cards in the same turn, you will end up getting a very high amount of guts, speed, and power. So you want to keep out an eye for these once Make a New Track comes out. Just know that guts is actually going to be a proper training in Make a New Track scenario. And yeah, once you finish the career itself, you will be put on a tournament-esque thingy finale, where if you lose, it is not an automatic you're out. It just is that if you have the highest amount of rainbow points, you would win the entire thing, which is the Twinkle Legend series. So yeah, that is pretty much the TLDR of Make a New Track and how the mechanics work over here. And it's not really that difficult to understand. You just need to race a lot more, and you will buy the items and you train in the summer. That is a very, very, very easy TLDR. So why does race bonus matter? So the TLDR is that you are racing a lot more frequently compared to URA Finale and also Unity Cup. And guess what increases depending on your race bonus? Your stats gained from the race, and also your stats skill points. So yeah, once you race a lot more, you will get much higher amounts of skill points. Make a New Track, on my opinion, from what I have tested, is about 2,800 to 3,000 ish skill points once you finish the career, and that is a very crazy amount. One last thing that I want to talk about is the gold shoes event or item, sorry. This increases your race bonus by 35%. So if you have, let's say, like 55% race bonus, you would end up at a total of 90% race bonus. And that is something very, very worth to mention because of the Twinkle Legends finale, where this would actually put on the stats that you get for that race. So let's say I have a base value of 10 to all stats once I finish a race in the Twinkle Legends series. Now instead of me getting 10 to each stat, I would get plus 18 or plus 19 in terms of all stats up. So that is something very, very, very nice. And also you get much more skill points doing so. And one more thing that I want to talk about is the gold skill or the exclusive skill for Make a New Track, which is something called Radiant Star. If you win the finale, you will automatically get this skill. But what it is that in the second half of the race, the more race that you win in your career, the more target speed increase, the more acceleration, and the more stamina that you will end up recovering. This is something very, very interesting. I don't know how strong this is, but from what I have seen, it is something very powerful potentially, because it triggers at the second half of the race at a random point. So if this triggers in the late race, you will get a lot of acceleration and you also recover some stamina. But if it triggers immediately, you will get some speed and also recover some of your stamina. So yeah, that is why race bonus matters a lot more, because you would end up racing very, very often. And I raced about like 35 to 40-ish amount of races overall in Make a New Track scenario from my sample runs, and I would get a lot of stats and also a lot of skill points. You could say, well, that means that the run would feel like a bit RNG because you get random stat from winning the race, but in reality, from what I have noticed is that it's evening your stats. Your true differences of stats would come from your training in the summer years, and also like the last couple of turns and the Twinkle Legend series. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server linked in the comment section, and I hope to see you in the next one.